everyone, welcome back to the FIDE World Blitz Chess Championship matches from round 1 to round 13. In this video, I will be covering one exceptional chess player from India whose Blitz rating is 2749. He is a GM, and the reason I want to cover 3 of his games from round 1 to 13, and after round 13, he's ranked number 1 and he's been crushing everyone. Let's start with no further ado from the first game, which is Arjun versus Dennis. Dennis is also a grandmaster. Arjun is playing white in this game, so let's see. So we have a queen's gambit declined, as you can see. So now they're just developing the pieces. This is turning into an English opening, but it's still like a kind of queen's gambit, like a declined version. Yeah. Okay, so e3, a6, b3. Now he's planning to go bishop b3. Although he plays bishop b2. Although he plays bishop d2. This is not the best move because usually you don't want to leave this weakness. Usually your bishop's meant to go there if you play b3. But he just played this defending this pawn, this knight. Now Dennis himself goes b6. After bishop d3, bishop b7 developed, castles bishop goes back to d6. So that's one of the best moves in order to, because he castled, you want to use this bishop because there's no point of it here to target this pawn and maybe try attack. So bishop d6, the queen goes to c2, knight bd7, e4, takes, knight takes back, usually that's good, and then he castles. Now, Arjun is doing good as his queen and bishop and everything's pointing there. Rook goes to d1, knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes. Rook isn't targeted, Dennis advances pawn to a5, as you can see. So Arjun responds with the bishop going to c3, looking for the king. Bishop goes to b4. The bishop goes back to b2. And then Dennis makes a bit of a mistake, queen e7, because of the... Yeah, Arjun did not see it. He made a miss. The best move in this position would be pawn to c5. This blocks the bishop. If the pawn takes, then you go a3, like you're just winning a piece. And if the bishop takes, you take. So that's a free piece. Arjun misses it. Queen goes back to c2. Bishop a3. Bishop c3. Bishop back. There. Arjun does not want to draw. They were going to repeat. So bishop b4. Rook d3. Rook d8. Rook d1. Bishop goes back to d6. g3. And then Dennis makes a big blunder. Knight f6. Because of the move that is still available, c5. The great thing about c5 is that the bishop is trapped. If you take, I take back your bishop's trapped. So the bishop goes to f4, g takes, knight d5 is played. The queen goes to d2, queen f6. Arjun now, who's up a piece, just slowly converts, like just watch. He advances d5, f6, d6, king h8, waiting move, knight to e7. He gives a check, but this is just completely winning because of king to h7. And then f3 is a great move, run out of checks, trade, rook goes to g4. And then Arjun actually wins another piece. Now he's up 2 pieces. And in this position, Denis Makhnev from, I think it's Kazakhstan, resigns in this position as Arjun is just crushing. The evil boss says he's up 5.4. And this is just a completely winning position. So well done to Arjun for beating Denis. I think this was like round 5 or something, but I'm not sure. But now let's move on to a better game, Arjun versus Norderbeck. This game was stunning. Okay, so in this game, Arjun Erigaisi is playing with Norderbeck, Absid, or whatever, and he's playing with the black pieces. So here we go. Arjun plays e5. We have a Roy Lopez. Best move a6 is played. Bishop goes to c5, c3, knight g7. So then you can see the knight doesn't develop to f6 in the Roy Lopez usually. I like to call it Spanish. So it's knight g7, castles, bishop goes back to a7, d4, knight g6. Knight g6 is a good move defending this pawn. So that's great stuff by Arjun. Develops castles b2, and then he takes in the center. The pawn takes back. As you can see, Norderback might look better with the center, but then Arjun strikes with d5. e5, the best moves played. But Arjun had a great move, knight c to e7. A would have been good because you can take it to f5. Although he plays f6, he takes there, building pawns, but Arjun's got the bishop, so that's good stuff. And then rook c1 is a mistake because of knight c5. What's knight c5? Oh, joking. Not knight c5. Because of after you chop in the center, you take back, then d4 is played, attacking the bishop. Queen b3 is the only good move. King h8, bishop goes to g5, queen e8, rook e1, and then the bishop develops to e6. This is just great. Queen a4, not a mistake, because of h6, kicking up the bishop, and then you could taking the bishop's not good, but a better move would have been knight f4. Threatening this, gonna come to d5. It's just brilliant. Or rejecting the bishop, okay, knight takes back. You still better. Bishop d5, and then e6 a mistake, and then Arjun misses the move. It was not rook f4. You just had to play d3. Then you can't really double up the rooks. You just wait, and then you can't do anything. You're defending your pawn, whatever. Nothing's happening. Rook goes to f4, not a great move. Knight f3, queen e7 is given a question mark because of queen takes a6, which is not played. You should have taken this pawn and you're gonna try take here. But he takes there, a bishop takes there, and then rook e8 is a great move. You're gonna get the pawn. 95, there's nothing. You just go back to f6. Now Arjun just converted. Now you have d2. This is an excellent move because if you take over here, you take here, and you win the rook. So obviously taking was not an option. He went to f1, and Arjun find an absolutely stunning, brilliant move. Bishop takes f2. I don't know why
Wow.
they both select this. I don't know. But the problem is, you can't take with the rook or else you're gonna do that. So king takes, and you go queen c5. Now Arjun wins the pawn. Queen goes back to d3, and then you can get two pieces for one. And then like Arjun just gonna cook. Rook goes to e1, and even you can't even give a check. So in this position, not back Absar whatever, sorry, resigns in this position because Arjun is gonna promote and he's winning. So that was an excellent performance by Arjun with the black pieces beating Norderback. He's currently first. And now for the world champion game. Arjun versus Magnus is the last game. We're gonna go through it now. So like Arjun's playing with the black pieces against Magnus. Magnus with white. Magnus is, ranked number one, so this is going to be a tough game for Arjun. So he played the Sicilian. This is an aggressive opening. Knight f3 e6. This is the French kind of. Now it's kind of a French, yes, the Sicilian defense French variation. Magnus plays the h3 line, a6, c3. You might notice a lot of pawn moves. If you're a beginner, please don't do this. It's not going to help you. Just develop. So d5, Arjun strikes. Magnus plays the best move. Actually, no. I would have liked taking, actually. You should have taken, but e5 is also fine. Arjun plays bishop b7. Magnus strikes with d4. That's why he wanted to go e5. If you take, he's going to take back with the c pawn. So Arjun plays queen b6. Bishop d3. You should actually take it to e2, but it's fine. In the Sicilian, usually e2 is better. So the bishop goes to b5. Magnus brings it back to c2. And Arjun advances with a5. a4, bishop goes back to a6. This is absolutely stunning stuff. Magnus is better, but knight bd2 was a mistake because Arjun actually could have taken. Because if takes, knight takes, you go knight c6, and then you like kind of better. The pawn's gone from the center. This is weak. But okay, knight c6 also, and then Magnus finds the only defending move, knight to b3. Now Arjun's better. He finds c takes d4, knight takes, and then bishop c5. So this is a stunning set of moves by Arjun. He's doing better. Bishop e3, and you might think he hung a pawn, which somehow yes, is true. Magnus played his move king to d2. The audience was shocked. at defending it in this way, but he thought he was going to try and trade into an endgame and the king would come to the center, which would be better for him. But no, Arjun retreats. Rook goes to e1. This might be not bad for Magnus, but as you can see in the evil bar, no. Rook b1, queen c7, and then Magnus moves his knight to b5. And Arjun gives a check, rook takes, and then Arjun finds a good move, bishop takes b5. You want to remove the knight, the pawn takes, and then d4. Arjun strikes in the center. This is the best move, attacking the rook. He takes, and then knight b4. Now Arjun is just cooking. Rook goes to c3, defending. Queen b6. Bishop comes to e4. It might look like Magnus is, you can see, got some stuff, but no. Unfortunately, rook d8 is not a bad move, but Magnus should have actually castled and brought his rook, this rook in. So this one. But doing this, it kind of keeps that rook to do nothing. As if it's on e8 after castling, it really doesn't do anything, but okay. King goes back to e1. H6 is a miss because you really should have taken this pawn as it was free, but okay, h6. And then queen e2, another miss. Now not Magnus, Arjun can play knight on e to d5. This would be stunning. But he decides to castle. This is the second best move, it's not bad. King goes to f1, rook c8, rook c1 on b. It's a mistake because of the take takes, which is great by Arjun. You go not rook c8, but you could have went knight e to d5 once again. The knight would be killing. If the bishop takes, this knight will come in. But rook c8, now you can trade and then the knight's doing nothing. Queen c4 is a great move. Knight to a7, king g1, okay. King f8 is a mistake because not d5, that's a blunder. He should have went knight to d2 to come to g3, b3, and then try hit the king on f8. d5 is a blunder because Arjun finds a great move. E takes, bishop takes, and yeah, queen takes b5, wins the pawn. After the queen goes to t7, that was a mistake. He should have just took it like this. This would defend the pawn. Doing this, instead of queen d8, okay, guys, even though this is not big enough, queen b8, it just wins a knight. I mean, like, you can't, queen goes back, okay, he takes the knight like that, that's not bad. But now you've got knight c6, and now you just better. So after queen b5, the queen goes to d7, and now it's a queen and knight endgame. And Arjun is better, he's grinding. h5 is a bit of a mistake, like he could have went king g7 or something. h5 kind of lets the knight into g5, which Magnus done straight away. That's good. King goes to g7, that is nothing now. Now e6. Magnus is trying to go for the draw. After f takes, queen goes with b2. Arjun plays e5, a good move. Queen goes back to b6. This is a mistake because of the move a4. He can just play a4 and he's winning because like you're gonna promote. But then Magnus kind of had a bit of a, I don't know, problem because after what Arjun plays, which is actually a blunder because it draws, Magnus lost. Arjun played knight d4. This is a draw because Magnus could just take this pawn that was going to promote. And this pawn was not going to do, it would be drawn because it's queen and knight. But Magnus kind of fumbles with the queen and then he drops it and he runs out of time.
Oh no.
So Magnus, unfortunately, not trying to make fun of him, lost by time this game. It could have been a draw, but Arjun got a bit lucky there. He still played brilliantly, and yeah, so Arjun beat Magnus, and now he just first in the tournament after round 13. So that was a stunning game, interesting with the time issue at the end. But that was actually an exceptional performance by these two, especially even Magnus. But like, yeah, so Arjun did good in the tournament. The finals and semi-finals are going to happen today. I will make a video about it too. And yeah, please like and subscribe. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you. Goodbye.